So we are here with Wendy Despain, who is the editor of Professional Techniques for Video Game Writing.
And 2 other books, too.
And 2 other books. One of the hardest things is dealing with criticism, feedback, and peer reviews of your work, and also figuring out how you're giving somebody's material and you're changing it, and everybody gets a little picky.
Yep.
So what's the balance that you float in there? Because I guarantee you that they've gone that far down the road with the game.
Yeah.
That somebody's in love with each different element of that project. Yeah. And so when you're also pitching, are you worrying about not stepping on somebody's toes as you do that? Or is it just you go for the story, you do what you can, or do you still also have to play that game?
Well, part of what I spent the morning doing was finding out who cared about what. And
research.
And who actually was making the decisions. Like, if Joe Schmo, the programmer over there, really cares about X, but the guy making the decision is over here and doesn't care at all about that, I can just forget about that and focus on that.
In screenplays, we call the different set pieces in the scenes your darlings. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to kill your darlings of your idea.
Yep.
And
you do.
To move the project forward.
In game development, the writer is usually the one killing the darlings. And everybody else gets to keep theirs. Not everybody, but writers have experience killing their darlings. And it's not something that we go home and, I had to kill my darling. Usually I'll set it aside and I'll use it at some other time in the future. It's just not the time for that particular idea. So that's all right. It can go in the back burner. Other programmers and artists have a much harder time letting go. And so it is key to find out what it is that they care about and the people who have the money and what it is that they care about. And so I knew I knew at the end of the day we were going to have a huge, long conversation about how time travel works. Because anytime you've got time travel in a story,
define the rules.
You have to, you have to figure out do we care about the grandfather paradox or do we not care about it? Do we have the ability to travel? What are the rules of time travel? So I tried to get them to talk about it in the morning so we could lay down what, and they wouldn't. They were like, "Oh no, that doesn't matter." I was like, "Oh, this is what we're going to argue about for the next 2 days." But okay, that's fine. So we agreed on the general plan, and then the next day I had written up documentation for it. That's what I got to do overnight instead of sleeping.
I was going to ask you, do you get to be a game writer yet? Because right now you're really a development person, a cheerleader, you're a referee. I mean, these are really the positions you're covering.
Yeah.
Right? You haven't even written anything yet.
Right, I'd written log lines on a wall.
Yeah. That's it, really.
Yeah. So overnight I wrote up 2-page summary of the idea.
So a synopsis, sort of?
Yes, absolutely. A synopsis or a treatment. And absolutely had to have beginning, end, middle. The only battle that I fought, that I decided to fight and win on this one, was that they had named a character the butler type, which I changed from being a butler actually to being a love interest, because there was no love interest in this game that was aimed at women who were middle-aged. And I'm like, who are you people? Oh yes, you're all men. Okay. The one male character in here has to be a love interest. But his name was Gibbon. And I was like, no, you can't name a guy Gibbon. Can we please at least name him Jeeves? You can't call a love interest the name of a monkey. Not gonna work. So that's how I won that battle. I was like, it's a monkey. No. Unless you're going to dress him in
So very important point. Every element matters, right down to the name of a character that they may have made a bad decision about. And looking at the story, that could have been blocking the story for who knows how long as well. That's another element. Every element matters.
That was one of those things that the previous writer loved, the name of that character. And I was just like, no. Sorry, I know the previous writer was so-and-so's buddy, and I'm very sorry about that, but I am a middle-aged woman, and I'm telling you, no. This one I will die on. You can tell me how I lost the battle on how time travel works, just for the record. They made up their own rules about how time travel works that I knew wouldn't work, but that's okay. They got to win that one as long as I got
But still,
Jeeves.
they had to make the choice to define the rules for the game of the time travel, something
Yes.
I talk about all the time in your stories. If you're creating a fantasy world, what are the rules? Where
Absolutely,
are we going?
yes.
We have to know. And as long as you define them, we'll believe anything you tell us.
That's right, and
But
stick to
you
'em.
have to define them and then stick to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can't break them. And yeah, so we spent some time hashing that out. And yeah, so I wrote overnight and then I presented them that in the morning, and we made edits together in the morning. And then I started writing dialogue because they needed to make a presentation the end of that week to people who would decide whether this project
So it still
lived or
wasn't
died.
greenlit yet, you're saying, basically.
Well, the problem with video games is that there's no assurance. Like in film, if it gets greenlit, there's at least some assurance that it's going to get made, even if it's crap at the end, right? And in video games, they can, at any point in time, they can pull the plug.